Welcome back to Stories of Dave. Tonight we're reading Chapter 2. Part 2 of Chapter 10 of Hokey Pokey, Signs and Wonders. Damn, they sure is persistent, ain't they? Nipper said. Yeah, that's one word for it. Are they bringing in much business? It's hard to tell. You have to assume they are, though. Gets a little busier every week, though that could just be word of mouth. Who knows? I tell you, I'd sure like to grudge fuck that Candy Goolsby. Serious business. Hell, any of them. They's all hot in that hot sitcom mom way, you know what I'm saying? All judgmental. I know, I guess if I saw him standing there looking pretty wearing slit skirts and high heels holding signs about masturbation, I'd probably want to stop for a closer look too. And with that, right on cue, two pickup trucks made a quick exit off the highway and approached the shop, leaving Candy and her church ladies choking in the dust. As they approached, Code Talker could see the trucks contained men, 3 per truck. They were young men, too, with crew cuts, rifle racks, plenty of swagger. And here's the whole offensive line, said Nipper. I hope they're here to shop. Y'all doing all right? The leader said. Yep. Y'all doing all right? Fair to middling, I reckon. Let me holler at you inside for a sec. All right, Nipper said. The men all walked into the shop, Code Talker first, then the offensive line, and then Nipper bringing up the rear. How can I help you gentlemen today? Code Talker said. We heard y'all got a for-real massage parlor running out here. I don't see no girls, though. No, that's just a rumor, Code Talker said. There was some discussion, but nothing ever came of that, to tell you the truth. The young men nodded in unison. The spokesman was the tallest among them and had dark hair and wore jeans and boots and an undershirt streaked with greasy fingerprints and long smeared stains of barbecue sauce. They all wore crew cuts. They had pronounced, almost simian brows, and as a group they smelled like strong body odor burning through a cloud of Old Spice. Okay, well, they all looked at one another, and then the shortest one elbowed the leader in the ribs and said, Go on, man, ask him. Well, all right. Do y'all have any of that porn that has... And then his voice fell to a whisper, and he leaned in close. Chicks doing it with animals and stuff? No, I'm afraid we wouldn't have anything like that. I'm pretty sure that would be illegal. They were crestfallen, staring at their shoes in disappointment. Code Talker and Nipper both fought internally to resist imagining the conversations that had led up to this one. It was just like Code Talker said, Nipper thought. Sometimes you just don't know the whole story. You can find that on the internet, though, Code continued. Here, come over here to this side and I'll show you. Then you can go find the site later on if you want. A job not worth doing is worth not doing well. The young men gathered around behind Code Talker, who directed them to a portal and then let them have the wheel for a while. As he did so, the door opened and sunlight washed in around the edges of a silhouette he could recognize before he was even able to focus on it. Nipper beat him to the punch. Slump! What do you say, man? Hey, Code, look what the cat drug in. It's Slump and Mandy Bryant, Nipper said. Good old Slump, man. Daggum. What y'all doing this far up country? Well, said Slump. He scowled at Nipper and then at Code Talker and said, This is it in here, I reckon. The store? Yeah, man, that's the shop. Go ahead on in and have a look. Ain't nothing in there gonna bite you. I wouldn't lay a bet on it, Slump said, following Mandy into the store. Nipper and Code Talker looked at each other in wonder and shrugged. Code said, Okay, man, I'm going to give him a sec before I go in. Can you hang out and keep an eye up front? No problem, Nipper said. Then as an afterthought, Hey, remember, just the price tags. Something tells me we don't ever want to know this story, man. Amen to that, Code Talker said, but he forgot. In the time it took him to walk into the shop and pretend to straighten up the counter and the front display case, he forgot. So when Slump and Mandy Bryant approached the counter and stood there stone-faced in their overalls, like an Appalachian swerve on American Gothic, with a Centaur 2000 Deluxe Special Edition strap-on interchangeable dildo harness, parentheses, with a breathtaking variety of dildo attachments, not included, and a family-sized dispenser of Astroglide, Code Talker saw every single label and in doing so told himself the whole story. There it was, showing against the backs of his eyelids like a tiny black and white film set to infinite loop. Mandy, nude, all strapped up, humping slump against the feed trough with the metronomic timing of a desktop wirebird counterweight bauble, pecking at its little pile of invisible seed. The slump wearing that terminal frown of his face flushed red, just waiting for it to stop. Poor old slump, he thought. Then he thought, who am I to judge? Happy wife, happy life. None of my business, he said to himself, bringing up the purchase, resisting the sudden impulse to read the labels aloud in some sort of amusing accent. Did y'all find everything you were looking for? He said. I reckon, Mandy said. She was doing all the talking now. From the looks of it, she'd be doing most of the talking later on, too. All right, that'll be 81 on the money. Oh, and that gets you 4 lotions of your choice. You can pick whatever ones you want. Those there in the little bins. That's the one. Yet more story. She selected 2 strawberry and 2 cherry-flavored lotions. Cherry lotion heated up when you breathed on it. As he handed back their change, Code Talker smiled real big and said, it was good seeing y'all. Y'all have a good time. Night. Y'all have a good night tonight now. Slump glared him up and down and walked out the door. As they left the building, Nipper called after him. Have a good one, Slump. They could hear Slump's voice coming back muffled through the door, saying, fuck y'all, too. That Slump, Nipper said to Code Talker, grinning. He ain't no slouch. Man, oh man, Code Talker said, just when you thought it couldn't get more bizarre. But he didn't knock on wood, neither did Nipper, and there was plenty of it handy, too. 4 crew-cut skulls, chock full of it, gathered around a 15-inch screen covered in pop-ups, assuring bigger, better, longer erections. Hookups with local girls, mail-order brides, interactive interracial erotica, and the new miracle drug, Viagra. They had a little of everything on the screen, except for chicks doing it with animals and stuff. No luck, huh? Code Talker said. There was one link that said that it went to a gallery showing a lady with a horse, but when we clicked on it, all hell kindly broke loose, the leader said. He looked deflated, like the kid who got everything for Christmas but the toy he really wanted. Well, here you go, Code said, handing them a post-it with the portal address on it. I'm going to need to get back on this computer, but you can use this address to search for that at home. Thanks, man, said the leader. Slowly, reluctantly, the young men stood one by one and filed out the front door. The men heard them start their vehicle and pull away on the gravel, and Nipper said, good job, man. I wasn't sure it was ever going to be easy to get them out of here. Deviance is a powerful Jones, man, Code Talker said, shaking his head. He double-skipped a pebble across the gravel into the brambles. Those boys are hell-bent for horsecock. They stood there for a minute, pondering the profundity of that statement. They both understood without having to say it out loud that this was an important marker. Things were never going to be the same again on the western edge of the Cumberland Plateau, or in all of Tennessee for that matter. In some small but fundamental way, Tennessee itself had changed. It was as if an evil spell had been broken at last, dispelled by uttering the magic words, those boys are hell-bent for horsecock. It was as if they could hear the granite snap of Aslan's table breaking. That, or it was Slump's rectum losing its elasticity, along with its septuagenarian virginity. But that would have been impossible since old Slump just pulled out into the entrance road the very moment was waving happily at the pastel picketers as he passed them in his old Ford truck, leaving them in a haze of settling dust. Hey, y'all, let me have a word in private for a minute, if you don't care, Slump said, climbing down from the truck. Did you chicken out? Nipper said. Slump glared hard at Nipper and said, by God, John Nipper, I'll chicken you out if you come on running that mouth of yours. The 3 men walked back in the shop where Slump explained his dilemma. We can't get this here harness to stay up. Look it, he said, demonstrating. He had to dance through an awkward sort of reverse 2-step to get the thing on. And once it was on, it wouldn't stay up. See what I mean? The 3 men all gazed at the harness. Before they could focus on the engineering, they had to manage what it meant, each on his own terms. Well, let's see. 5 minutes later, the 3 men stood gathered around the harness, staring at it the way men gather around and stare at an automobile engine. Except they weren't helping their friend fix his car. They were helping their friend troubleshoot a device that, were they successful, he meant full well to wear up his ass shortly after he returned home that evening. It was way too late to avoid telling the story, way too late to focus on the price tag and eschew all the actual words. Those words were palpable now, real, 3D, and olfactory. Eventually, they were able to solve Slump's dilemma with a piece of electric tape and an extra strap cannibalized from the display model. Slump seemed relieved. Man, I appreciate y'all. I surely do. I reckon we can kindly keep this here sort of quiet if you don't care. Oh, hell, Slump. Keep what sort of quiet? Nipper said. Yeah, man, we never saw you out here, to tell you the truth. There was a guy who looked a little like you and drove a truck that was the exact same model as yours, but it wasn't you. I swear it on the Bible, Code Talker said and winked. Slump grinned and said, I owe you one. As God is my witness, I'll find a way to pay this back. Bryants don't never forget a favor. Don't you ever worry about a thing, Code Talker said. By the time Slump left to return home to resume his grail quest in private, there were only 3 ladies left on the evening picket line. From the door of the shop, the men could see them circle in their little pastel scary-go-round, their sides rising and falling slightly, synchronous with their footsteps. Soon they too would depart. Code Talker could relax in relative peace for the last couple of hours before it was time to close shop for the night. It got really peaceful and quiet out there at night. He never had many customers after dark. Sometimes he'd just smoke a joint out under the stars and sit on a folding chair listening to the crickets and frogs. This, he had a feeling, would be just such a night. Shit, don't run off. You don't have to, he said. I've got a number in the truck. I was going to burn it after a while once things slowed down. Thanks, Nipper said, but I'll take a rain check back at the hideout if you don't care. Spencer wanted a report. He's a little worried. Worried? Yeah, man. They're having some kind of revival type meeting weekend after next, I reckon. Judge Goolsby and his goon. You never know with them fellers. A lot of them just do about anything if they get riled up real good. Did he say where it's at? Red Boiling Springs. Code Talker nodded, lost in thought. All right. Shit. Doesn't Wally have some kin out that way? Rickman, more like. Okay. Well, we'll have to think about that some. Tell Spence thanks for the word, though. I'll do it, Nipper said. He wouldn't leave you hanging for nothing. Just safety first, right? Besides, they'd never burn that there sign. It'd be like shit. It'd be like burning the good book itself. And that'll never happen. Not up here. Not on purpose. I'll be fine, Code Talker said. I think Candy would never let anything really bad happen to me, to tell you the truth. I think she finds me, I don't know, charming. She's always polite. She always seems glad to see me. Nipper smiled. If you don't tap that, I'm gonna. Watch and see. I'm fixing to plant a seed in her mind right this very minute whenever I pull out of here. What are you gonna say? That's for me to know, Nipper said. You to stand back in speechless awe and find out. See you at home, bro. See you in a few, Code Talker said, waved as Nipper pulled off down the gravel drive. Code Talker watched him drive all the way to the road. Behind the sound of the tires on the gravel and the sound of the truck engine, he could swear he heard the telltale guttural hum of drive-by Tibetan throat seduction. Moving away in Doppler as Nipper passed Candy and the last of the astonishment of church ladies left picketing by the highway.